Once again, everybody is welcome to turn on your video so that Rinpoche can see it on the screen in the back.
Tsenshap Digbali tartab samgaba seti. Dij kandes gyugu. Timid way.
One needs to think of ways to become free from negative
No,
negativities.
negativities. That dungi digba chende sujili yomare. Dungi chende sujili yomare te inayang di tak kaso kale kashu chabde. Dungi cheya dang. Ani labado nyumong cheya di samlay was tambi na. Ani nga jibu jigda nga yagu ji yongna samche dileba de seba shurwas.
So we are on the fifth point, page 2, if those you have it. Basically, really striving to free from negativities. Rinpoche is reminding us that negative, activities, also the sufferings, none of us desire or asking for it. But the problem is, the main problem is, how do we get disentangled, free, detached from these? That's become so hard, although we have no intention of going into suffering, but because of a number of reasons and factors, we fell under the influences of affliction. And as a result, these afflictions that we got into at the very first reason is we are hoping something better will come out of it. We're engaging in things under the influence of the affliction, hoping that we get something better, we maybe something getting better. And so all these, things that we habitually, engage, is there is some hope, something good will come out of it.
If we talk about, for an example, let's talk about anger. It's good. The anger, it's something that, how does that anger come is to kind of like it's like you feel like it's protecting you. If somebody says something harsh words towards you, and then in order to protect yourself, this emotion comes out. So then His Holiness always says, why do we need this if something else can protect us with more careful, gentle, and then it will does the work to protect you. That's not other than the patience. So patience is being gentle to you and to know the situation better, to understand or connect again with the person. Maybe he is dealing with something strong negative emotion. So you need to understand his feeling. So the great Chantakiti, that's how His Holiness says. So like Chandrakirti entering to the middle way, when he has described about the anger, then he says the emotion which ultimately comes with you, that it takes the right of thinking what is good and bad. You don't have any kind of a it takes away the rights of the capable to think right and wrong. It always directs you to the negative thought. So that means
it deprives us of our good judgment in discerning what is good for you, what is not good for you.
Lord takes away the judgment. Judgment's away. So that means it's taking away our own freedom. That means more like I think this we not but only the Chantaketi is saying, but if you feel it with him, then it is sometimes more powerful saying having negative emotion, then it destroys the eons and eons of the merit you have built, and it will destroy in a few seconds. Sometimes this way of teaching does not help for the beginners like us. So it is more kind of it does have a strength. If we try to think like it takes away the judgment, or the takes control over to think what is good and right. We don't have any choice left. It already directs somewhere. So it's very like 100% we have to agree with the Chantakirti, because when the anger really comes into you, and then it is sometimes very funny negative emotion, because you have anger towards somebody, and then it's really funny, because if you see this person coming in straight towards you, and you wanted to just go another way to avoid him. And then even you see his shoes in somebody's place, and then you just feel like, oh no. So that is such a disturbing, because maybe your enemy does not have this kind of
The hatred.
The hatred, but you deep inside you feel this. So now like this, and then now it is if you feel this anger is such a troublemaker, automatically you have to accept attachment is also very bad. Because me and my friend, classmate in Dharamsala, we had a debate. And then he says, well, I have anger issues, but I don't have attachment issues. He said that very clearly. And then I said, well, no, if you have an anger issue, that means you have attachment issues. And we had kind of debate a lot. And next day when my teacher was giving a teaching, and then he starts saying like, people who has this very narrow-minded, angry, they are so attached to themselves. So then I was just thinking like, because he is a monk, he sits in the front of us. So I was thinking like he will turn his face, and then he just slowly turned to me. So yes. So both the anger or the attachment makes our mind so narrow. So then somehow it takes our kind of the judgment of what is right, what is wrong. You cannot make any decision here. Even you make a decision at the time of when you are in this, under the sway of these negative emotions, and in future somehow you regret. So here and on the fifth point. Okay. So how to get out of this situation of the negative emotions, that we need to have this in our practices. So that's why I think my kind teacher put this point there. So then next to this is the sixth one.
The sixth one is identifying the cause of negativities.
So then I think it is necessary to read in English.
Sure. Although wishing to be rid of misery, they ran toward the misery itself. Although wishing to have happiness, like an enemy, they ignorantly destroys it. And therefore, through not having realized that I will certainly vanish, I committed many negativities through ignorance, attachment, and hatred.
Just thinking like this, I think this is one of the best purification. So yes, there are like Bodhisattva purification and then a regret and so on. But once you seeing that you are under the sway of the negative emotions, then how all these things, the situation, problem, somehow it comes from that. Just seeing this, it's one of the greatest purification. It's more like somehow right now we are in the situation, we feel like in this house, we have so many good things and someone is stealing our things. And then we don't know who is doing this kind of job, this kind of thing. Who's that person? Then once we recognize that person, then we think like, now I need to be very careful with this kind of people, that person. Similarly, right now we are in the situation, we can notice something is happening wrong around us, but we cannot pinpoint out that is the one. So once you feel like this is the 100% sure, it comes from this negative emotion, that emotion comes from not other than like very narrow-minded, this ignorance mind, so-called so much self-grasping. Then you will try to it
will really pacify and broaden your mind.
And then automatically, then you will feel like as Adisha said, doing all the negative 10 non-virtuous action, it weakens my faith. And doing the 10 virtuous action, it strengthens the mind. So then there is the way of this mind training. Because 10 non-virtuous action, it is under the sway, 100% under the sway of the negative emotion for sure. But the 10 virtuous action feels like optional. Like, should I do it? Maybe yes, maybe no. So we feel like this. So it's very necessary that in order to strengthen your practice, so these has to be bring awareness, and then whole this is one of your main practices. Not just like thinking like if I do non-reduced action, I will end up in hell. But this is another way of thinking, yes. But for the beginners, we need a kind of different way of thinking here. Like I think I totally agree with the great Adisha. So now to recognize how the strength of your mind, and then to see this how the your mind is get under the sway of negative motion, then to bring strong awareness to strengthen this, to have this vigilance mind is necessary. So this is why this 7th point is there.
And the 7th point here says, to abandon the afflictions, one needs to cultivate a strong mind. Mindfulness or vigilant for Paryu, the 4th chapter of the word Bodhisattva. Vigilant. Sorry, can you check the
different translations? This one is vigilant introspection.
vigilance in
Careful.
no 4 chapter 4.
Carefulness.
Carefulness.
Not the fire. One of the best definition of the Pagyo, the 4th chapter, that I think the definition is given by Geshe Tongme Sangpo in his commentary on the 4th chapter. At the end of his commentary on the 4th chapter, he says Pagyo means lang자도 도저요 봐. lang자도 도저라 소바 세도 삽삽체디부터 소바 풀렘 봐세지. 디체베이나 lang자도 도저려야 삽삽체디양 삽삽체되어지고 많이 봐지. 풀렘 봐세도 전에 그 체도니네 딜려야 돈한시 대줘 봐. 간한체지. 어디고 있어요.
For the explanation of the 4th chapter, the carefulness, a commentary by the Geshe Tongme Sangpo, who also did a comment on the 37, actually he composed the 37 verses of Bodhisattva. He did this wonderful commentary on the Shantideva's text. At the end of the 4th chapter, in the commentary saying what we meant by carefulness, carefulness is basically you're incredibly careful about what should be observed, what should be abandoned. And not only that, but you really make a special effort in really carrying out the necessary things to really observe the, and the necessary things, making effort to abandoning the negative activity, so on. And when you engage in that, that is called the carefulness in Tibetan Pagyu. Taking special effort.
Taking special effort. We all should be careful when we use effort. Because when the people hear about effort, then people go like rolling their eyes. But that's what Geshe Tongme Sangpo being very clever. He didn't say just effort. It's more like a special effort. That special effort does mean like it's just an effort. It's like effort with a joy. That is like, I really wanted to do it. So then it might, for some people, it might look only at just effort, but deep inside you are really enjoying this. So that we should always ask, do we have that? Or this is just an effort? So, yeah. Conscientiousness.
Oh,
They are like your
for school limb.
conscientiousness.
Heedfulness.
Yeah. So the translations can be very tricky here. Yeah. So how you say it, but it is necessary for the translators and people who are studying very carefully. So they need to have the full picture of what this the terminology is carrying, this connotations about connotation. Like this pagyo, and then you will say carefulness. How do you say that? Carefulness. Then it's like, oh, just be careful. It doesn't end here. This is not just like the fourth chapter saying be careful when you have a coffee in your hand. It's not like this. This carefulness has to do something with whatever on the first, second, third chapter, whatever he has been taught. Now, right after this, carefulness automatically comes. Because it's like the first stage, third stage, all the stages is connected. So the one who's wanted to have the Bodhicitta, because I call the great Shantideva, he is such a he will become such a good businessman, because he did a kind of advertisement there, very like he wrote the benefits of the Bodhicitta, right? And then what he does is like oh, so then we feel so ordinary. I think I can do it. Then he said, don't do this so much ordinary things that you're doing. That is one thing you need to purify. So then whatever you feel ordinary, you have to feel all this when you're doing these negative things, what really makes you so ordinary. So get out from this. This is the purification. Hold on. And then third, the third what was the third one?
The third chapter of
third chapter.
wherever Bodhisattva.
What's that? Chapter 3.
Yeah.
Oh, Simson. Oh, yeah. Then right after the purification, and what are you going to hold? Doesn't mean purify everything. You have to hold something to it. So that's it. How to hold this the mind, which is the Bodhicitta in English. The mindful,
generating awakening mind.
Awakening mind. How to hold with this. And then the fourth one is now how to take care of this, and not only take care, but being careful, or with the special kind of effort. So, yeah.
So you might have just answered. So I said, maybe you just answered this, but what might be the causes of the joy? And that, to me, it seems a little like a chicken or the egg question.
Joy. When you you are just asking in a general, or specifically when you practice bodhicitta? So
There's some moments in my life of practice where there's not joy. So then other moments where there is joy. So then it suggests
Okay.
if you want to increase the joy.
Oh, so the best thing that we can learn the joy is from children, I think, because if you try to remember ourselves when we enjoyed our life so much is the time of when we're child. For me, yes. And then you eat an ice cream, lucky. This is it. Right? And then you wanted to play, you just felt like so into it. And then I call it this way of enjoying is somehow it works similar to the kind of non-duality. It's more like you're so fixed on this. Even your teeth is almost finished for the children. So black and like maybe 6 or 7 teeth missing in front of you, but then you don't care. It's all about chocolate and the ice cream. But they don't care anything. That's just it. So focused. It doesn't mean they don't like their teeth. It's more like they're so fixed on this. Yes, of course, that's considered as an attachment for sure, but there is a joy. Similarly, when we do practice, like bodhicitta, we don't raise any kind of question when we practice bodhicitta. Right after the just maybe few minutes of practicing bodhicitta, did you just make any kind of move on the self-grasping or self-cherishing? And what are the differences between self-grasping and self-cherishing? And what is wrong with this having a self-cherishing? So we need to understand a little bit of this before going into being serious with the bodhicitta. So, like Sne and we had a discussion yesterday, isn't it? Yesterday or day before yesterday about it is a really good question because not a question, but it's more like we had a good discussion about the people who get kind of liberation and who has directly realized emptiness, how there can be self-cherishing. So this is big thing. And so and then not understanding that well enough, and then we try to practice bodhicitta, and then somehow maybe you enjoyed this, how to bring down the self-grasping, but you haven't used enough energy to bring down this self-cherishing. So then you might feel like bodhicitta is beautiful, but it does not complete. There's still you haven't kind of gotten the full picture of bodhicitta. So how do we enjoy bodhicitta? So that's what we have to raise. This is what we discussed, isn't it? And also Sne has a good point on can you repeat that again? What we discussed yesterday? That's good.
I think I was asking because we're studying entering the middle way, if Pratyeka Buddhas and Shravakas, according to Prasangika, have the same realization of emptiness as eighth stage Bodhisattva, why is it that they don't automatically have bodhicitta? Because they have a direct realization of emptiness. And why? And there's no self anymore. All that self-grasping is gone. All the afflictive emotions are gone. So why don't they naturally just care for everyone?
So that is a question, and what Sneh just said. So this is a very good question. Like now, this is how we need to look into how the mind of self-grasping really works, and then mind of self-cherishing really works. It's two different things of understanding, or no, looking into the mind. One is more like, due to this grasping, all this suffering comes. That's why I wanted to get a liberation. So then, once you got liberation, chapter closed. But then on the other hand, when the Pratyeka Buddhas and the Shravakas, when even they have a direct realization, or free of suffering, and they try to teach sentient beings, they do. That's why Nyentu, the Sarvaka said, Nyentu, you translate that directly from Sanskrit to the Tibetan. It is Teto. Teto means, Teba means to hear, and then you give the teaching. It is not that he is doing the practice. He's listening. He listened from Buddha. He does not practice. He just deliver this to the Bodhisattvas, sorry. So it's more like a Nyentu. Just here and here, not much here or here. So why they are not connecting to themselves? They feel, I'm doing okay. I'm not getting attachment, no more suffering, so I'm good. I will try to help out as much as I can. I do the volunteer job for sure, but I'm limited. They feel limited. So that's why sometimes they are happy, like, okay, I can do all of this now. I go back to my meditation state. So just being happy with yourself. But we don't call that so self-cherishing. But the Bodhisattvas feel that's so self-cherishing. Like that self-cherishing is more like, I'm okay, satisfied, that's good. So that now it needs to have a different way of, I know you are getting a very long answer, because this is also connected with the text we are going to say about. My teacher used to say, in order to see the rangdön sejo rangdön di kandechila rangdön sigyores di tiwatangures pena tangaranzugi sususugi tandabang which dezo sama rangdön sigyore ani nyente dezo ina ngare rangdön karese slabna 탈바 토브나 다가랑에 랑든 조소스기요 봐. 다 전주 선배기 신경 되면 먼저 봐도 랑게 된 조음도스. 제장아 신경 된 조나 랑게 된 조버스. 신경 된 거두 조버스도 신심제 탐지 산지 그 고방 막고 봐도 Zobs Kitcherimdoa. Kajans Shen Simchin Tamchi Tundolia, and turn to yet Sandy Yukovan, Kemba Tardoba, Kenzi Nusum Tardoba Chonsavada, until ya Randon the Shenduniga Zobas. Shendun Zob in a Randon Zobres, Randon de Zob in a Shendun Zobres, or do
So the Changsun Namge, Kintu Newsum Zonsuna,
Randon Zobres. Randon Zobs, and edition then Zobs. Kajans no Kuniga Zobta.
So when we talk about self-cherishing or self-interest, what is self-interest? So that's, I think my teacher says, it's very important for the Shivaka, what they kind of self-interest is just get a freedom from the samsara, liberation from samsara. So that's what is their self-interest is. But for the Bodhisattvas, the self-interest is really to completely attain enlightenment and to completely place all the sentient beings in enlightenment. And that's, self-interest. For them, their interest is making sure that all sentient beings attain enlightenment. So that's the self-interest for the Bodhisattva. And then when the Bodhisattvas accomplish that when they fully attain enlightenment, or full enlightenment, when they are fully endowed with the knowledge, compassion, and power, Kenzu Nusum, when they are really endowed with these, attaining full enlightenment, then their self-interest is accomplished, because now they'll be placing all sentient beings into enlightenment. So although we have a same word, self-interest, but the self-interests have huge differences between the Bodhisattvas, self-interest, and for the Shivakas. So when you think about the self-interest, try to investigate what is our self-interest.
So
Self-interest,
self-interest,
self-affair, self-cherish, self-interest.
welfare of yourself. This
Self-affair. Self-affair is like a self-interest.
Self-interest. So if somebody asks, what is your interest and what is your goal? Then you have like, if I can make a good money and do a good business, that's it. I become a good doctor, that's it. And then due to your mind, you have to say, this is my interest. All the interests are different. The goals are different. But then for the also for the Savakas and the Partika Buddhas, their interest or the goal is to, for their own good, it's the liberation. Then also for Bodhisattvas, it's amazing. They think like achieving only liberation, it does not give them a kind of their own goal. They feel like, I can do much more. It's more like a small child saying like, I want to become a president. I wanted to change the whole world. That way, most students don't say like this. And I want to be honest. I want to be kind and compassionate, and I need the wisdom. So like Bodhisattvas are like that. So their goal of when they achieve this kind of power or wisdom, the knowledge, omniscience, knowledge, and power. When they achieve this kind of thing, then they feel like, now I'm ready for all the sentient being. So their it kind of completes his own kind of interest, which is we at the moment we feel like that's for others, not much for you. But for Bodhisattvas, whenever they achieve this, then feel like now my goal, my interest is finished. Because that's very necessary to keep in our mind, because when we talk about bodhicitta, there are two aspects. The aspect is your, how do you say it, your own interest and the interest for others. So these two is inseparable. Once you feel like I'm doing all of this, then it's not bodhicitta. So you have to feel like, and then the one of the most important thing I felt, why the Bodhisattvas are thinking that they wanted to become a Buddha, especially the Bodhisattva who are on the 10th bhumi. He has so much kind of a, he can act almost same as a Buddha. And in there, some sutra, they're saying like, on the 10th bhumi, you are the Buddha. So they have this in there. But then why they are still that 10th bhumi is not a Buddha is because the Buddha said, so you need a motivation. You still have a very slightly motivation to help, which I don't have. That's powerful. Because every time when we need to set a motivation, just it's like, I need to do it. I need to. I have to. Just a slight of this, it is an effort. It's not pure. When it becomes like, if you tell His Holiness to stop meeting people, His Holiness will be one of the most sad person in the world. If you tell His Holiness maybe take a rest and don't meet any beings, that will be the worst thing to say to His Holiness. Because for him, even he is so tired, seeing other people gives him so much joy. So one time when His Holiness was, he came to Spiti, my birthplace, and then he lost his device because he was coming directly from Arunachal Pradesh, from the east side. And then the helicopter landed near to the monastery. And then when I heard him saying, "Tashidele," but which there is no voice. And I felt so sad, like. And then I told His Holiness, the plan is the helicopter landed, and then he goes on the throne and start giving teaching. That's His Holiness. That's his plan. And then I said, no, you don't need to give teaching. Please take a good rest. And then maybe tomorrow, if you feel a little bit better, you can just sit on a throne and do like, give some transmission. And then we all do the recitation with you. And you don't need to put so much effort there. And then His Holiness said, that's really good idea. I like this idea. And then he put his hand on my shoulders like, thank you, thank you. And then after lunch, he said like, he called me and said, I asked you to print it out some text. So you printed that? I said, yes. And then he said, well, still there's a little voice left. And I feel my energy, the body feel okay. So maybe until I have a little voice, maybe use this. I couldn't say anything. I said, okay. I was not really happy down there. And then His Holiness sat on the throne, and then he started talking. And then he said, Rinpoche said this, and then he very thoughtful of Rinpoche. But then you all waited for this opportunity, and I waited for this time, and me just resting in I don't feel very comfortable. So my way of giving teaching is to interact with you all, and then giving the more explanations. This is my way of style. I really wanted to do it. Slowly he was studying more and more, and then his voice came back. And I was just like, this is act of Bodhisattva. That's not really something common. So, and then next day he said, that right after the teaching, he gave 3 hours continuously teaching. And then he went back to, that time he's in his 70s. And then he took off his yellow robe, and then he felt so tired. I know that because no jet lag, he does not complain anything about that. And then, but then he just go he put his robe on the on the chair, and then attendant came and took off that, and then he just said, so good, so happy now. So I was left with this kind of memory, one of the sweetest memory I will ever have in my life, which whenever we learn about why we need to become Buddha, is we want to become effortless. We want it to be available for 24/7. So even on the tender bhumi can be very active, but still there one slight push there. So that proves he is a centered being. So that is that gives me so much kind of whenever I meditate why I wanted to become Buddha, then I looked at His Holiness' way of giving this teaching indirectly to me. So it really helps. So I don't know how this answered Mark's question and Snee's question, but I wanted to say somehow this all come out. Like Milarepa, I cannot compare any just a single thing with the Milarepa, but Milarepa said, listen. Now the a special instruction is just blasting out or bursting out from a mouth which when we have a throw off, when the blood has to come out, then you cannot control it. It just comes. So like this, it is coming out. Di dua ngaze tanda bele gurna lula ya ta khane tangwa chadar chungs ma tyoji. I don't know the blood coming out from mouth. It doesn't sound very sweet.
Yeah. In one of the Milarepa's spiritual songs, he's basically, the instructions, the pithy instructions are pouring out of mouth, blood, pouring out. That's a metaphor. But basically, you cannot stop it. It's just spontaneously coming out.
If you don't want to picture blood, you can change into pomegranate juice.
The connotation behind that is when someone's sick, rather throwing up something, they do not want to throw, but they have no control over that. It's like with Milarepa saying, I couldn't stop the instructions, pouring out of my mouth. I have no control over this, all spontaneous.
So just that great beings pouring out and my pouring out is two different things. My pouring out is with the confusions, and maybe this could be better to say, this will be much better for them. This is how the pouring thing comes out like that, with not a good kind of, I think, outlines and so on. But this great being is something else. I just don't wanted to compare like A to Z. Ale, okay, for 10 minutes we are getting Tandarebe. I take a break. And maybe we can still, people who wanted to go for a break, just take a break for 10 minutes. I'm still in the mood to talk, so we can talk. So yeah, take a break. Yeah. You need to just stand up. You can stand up, go to washroom. When something negative things happens, everything becomes so effortlessly. Yes, no effort. In order to do something bad, we are so expert. It's there. Like, who makes an effort to become angry? It controls you. Yeah. And jealousy and everything. It becomes like a kind of one of the highest realization on that. It's a bad door. Oh yes. But now the good thing will be all this compassion or this being kind to each other, be more open-minded. All this we have to ask for without any effort. If I have it, then I can hold it. Like in one of the talk of Suje Rinpoche, I saw, because he is one of the greatest master in a Nyingma and in a Tibetan lineage. So he will explain like, there are so many things to hold. He takes out one piece of paper and then he says, well, if you hold the paper like this, how long are you going to hold it? Somehow you will feel tired and you need to kind of relax. Anxiety, fear, everything's there. But without that, there's another way of holding very gently. You raise your hand like this, you put the napkin or the tissue on here. This is another way of holding that you can hold for like hours and hours. So that's how you being gentle to yourself and without effortlessly, you can hold that you can hold for such a long time. So similarly, this is how when we learn to become effortlessly to do something good, then it becomes like you can do it rest of your life, lifetime long. So there is one debate saying that up to now, for beginningless, we are so always contaminated with the negative emotions. Why we cannot like dissolve into this, the mind that will become the diluted forever, that there is no way that we cannot become a part or get liberated from that. Why cannot this become?
Times are difficult.
What's that?
The times are difficult.
Yeah. But I mean, like, we are so into this up to now, like, but it didn't become one. This negative emotion and the mind that we have. Yeah. The good, the mind, the deluded mind, and the bodhicitta is two different things, but still we are saying we can get a fully enlightened. That means like becoming one. But then the greatest debate is, after now we've been so familiar, so into this negative emotion or this ignorance mind, but we didn't become like fully like this. So the big question is, why not?
You said before that anger destroys so much of our positivity that it makes it very hard as long as we keep getting angry.
Mm-hmm.
To create that ability for us to unite it, but it should be easy. It could be like that.
Yeah, like saying like we cannot be angry for like a 24/7, but it's more like, is there any saying like you are so diluted, you're now almost like endless for now that that you, that there is a like kind of a bad news for everybody saying you don't have any hope. So why there is not like this? Yeah, possible. That's right. So, but then when we say we can become Buddha or liberated, and then there's a possibility. Even the mind which have now and mind which are going to achieve is two different things, but then there's a hope. So I think the effort, we need to put little effort, even we are in angry mood. There's effort. The difficulty is there. Then once you can become effortlessly into doing something good, then that means you cannot get out from there anymore. So the greatest hope for us is that if we can train our mind that we can become so effortlessly towards something, then this is, I think, how we can define bodhicitta. This is one way. And all the tantric rituals, this has to give this kind of a teaching. If I say a little bit clearly, all this dissolution and the rising deity and the activities, subtlest mind, all these are much quicker way to get a fully enlightened, because we can enjoy it as Buddha is enjoying at the moment. So the goal is same. We wanted to become effortless. Okay, you just there for that. So we continue now. Oh yes, sorry about that. Oh, okay.
Well, I felt like it was kind of a novice question, and you answered it in a more sophisticated way. It was about how to reconcile being compassionate and not taking yourself too seriously with, in the world, needing to protect yourself from being exploited. So I think you're saying, okay, so in Western psychology, there's an emphasis on some people need to learn to get more angry to protect themselves. And it doesn't resonate with me. So I think you're saying it's actually less attachment to yourself. It doesn't bother you so much. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, attachment
If you are less attached to yourself, when someone takes advantage of you or exploits you, it kind of doesn't impact you so much. Is that what you're saying?
Kind of, but then it's more like when you see that person is taking advantage of you, it's more like sometimes your mindset is so powerful. Then it's more like, you know, that your favorite or your so dear child is taking some kind of candy from your pocket, and you pretend like you're not knowing, but still you don't want to spoil the child, but you don't have anything against this kid. So, but you will be careful for sure. But the good thing is there's no hatred. There's no room for hatred. And then, like, you see this person, you know how to keep a distance with the respect, without any hatred. So this is what we need. So, and then if you have plus, like a bodhicitta, then it's like you won't be like a very permanent with, I cannot deal with this kind of people anymore. You won't feel this, because the greatest prayers of the Bodhisattvas are like, wherever these sentient beings are, I will open their eyes. I will be there to help them to generate more love. So you are not giving up on that. Maybe in this life you can, next life you will try your best. So this is, it's more like the movie does not end. Like it comes with lots of episodes, but not a boring movie. Okay. Yes.
A question from the chat, and this was about virtue. And so as a follow-up question to talking about virtue, that says that the three motivations in the Lamrim for virtuous action are the smallest capacity, the middle capacity, and the greatest capacity. They must be present in order to have virtue and in order to result in merit in the future. So the question then is, many people who are not Buddhist have good hearts and are kind. How is that virtue if these three motivations aren't present, don't exist? If the motivations are not Buddhist motivations of the smallest and the middling and the greatest, how is that?
It is possible. I think it's possible because for an example, what these three scopes, differences between the three scopes is how they can expand their compassion. The one only thinks about yourself and taking good care of yourself, being very careful what you do next step. That is more like the small scope. Small scope. And the middle scope is more like, I wanted to get out of this kind of situation. I wanted to have a much better life, so that I don't get always conflicted in the suffering, that I always wanted to have a strong awareness and then to get out from this suffering. So that's the middle scope. Then the highest one is with this kind of the confidence that you can be the happy, like stress-free, like that person who really knows how to take care of yourself, and then he wanted to do some kind of a help other beings without any complaints. Just he and she will be there whenever that person needs him and there, not giving up on the other person. So that mostly, I think, in the society, we talk about this sort of people. Like, for an example, like Mother Teresa, she has a different belief in the religion, like a God or Jesus, whatever, but she trusts in herself that each and every kind of effort or whatever she's doing, that she's doing for others. That's similar to the bigger scope, the larger scope. So if you put a fully enlightenment there, then it's complete picture for the Buddhist. But the purpose of doing this sort of thing for the Buddhism is not to become just Buddha. It's to, if I can become Buddha, I will be much better. I can understand much better. I can be there much quicker. I can be much more beneficial. That's the whole concept of being a Buddha. But the law. No. Okay. Okay, the real question is the person who is not a Buddhist, who creates lots of virtue, doing help to others, and then where does this merit go? So I think we say that it goes kind of like to the to have a kind of a the karsorata the robarsore koena longje ji songdo songgu yorede ina yang longje dan de dagyus mare pena tanta dizo de pena simjeng gi tyen cheya dan ta dizo tanta yishu shulu ne re khaji na le yore shenduen cheya de samma logic samla stang de de samma lo shuma azu ningji chingbu dan chenju simje la saben sondobji dendin chagusare.
So, of course, this incredible amount of merit that one generating without, reference to the three scopes of the practices. So these merits would be enjoyed in samsaric welfare or life, of course, especially the merits really dedicated for the well-being of others. The merits really cherishing the others. They, in some ways, become the causes for generating great compassion, and these, merits that you've been dedicating, deriving from helping others, become the causes for you to attain bodhicitta, like to really get in touch or to get exposure to bodhicitta and the way of a bodhisattva. So sure, there's definitely that kind of cause and effect connection.
Otherwise, it's quite rare for people like all of us. For all of us, it's difficult to have a understanding of emptiness and then accumulating lots of merits. But then somehow we have some merit to talk about emptiness, to get enlightenment, and we make a place like Shantideva's place, and then we in this busy New York, this Brooklyn city, we are here discussing about so many things, that somehow we believe that we can become like this and that. So this merit, I think all the goes back like not to just having like I want to become Buddha. May I in the future I might have a more things to discuss about Bodhicitta. Not only that, whenever you feel kind of a to have a strong motivation to help others, somehow with this kind of a cause or this kind of a way of thinking somehow brings the impact, strong impact is there to think about to become a better person or somehow to become a Buddha. Because Sonam, the merit in the Tibetan word, when the definition is it says something like especially when it talks about the accumulation of merit and the accumulation of the wisdoms. These are the two causes to become a Buddha. So especially Sonam Gutso, the accumulation of the merit, how it is a kind of a become a cause or to become a sugu the form body. So it kind of says like it's like it's not very clear. It only says like in the text saying it's same as like you having the hand, you put it on the mud, and then there is the kind of a handprint there. So this is how you put it like this. That's the handprint. Not the actual hand. The handprint is like similarly, it should work like that. So still unclear. But Sonam 그 초스도 수구 라지 족제스 그러봐. 라지 족제스. Now in the sutra part, it only says like the Sanje yu kudruvala ane Sanje ke Tsenshap Sumju Zangi dan Duzula Sawati anga jugi Jula Labures and you can't labures la duzambe and Danda Mondo Jengi Narola ya ane Lama Jel Sawatans Tadi Lama ya to pa Dendishuya la Sawata ane Jibatan wala Sobado Sejamango Sonyor. Ta inaya nga chog na lola ani shine ta nembe kya goya de ani chezanga laji chikpa chijan shago nas chikpa chijan shago na ani sangi korangi ku khandi juye tanda kone rubu resyo ta shine laji jogoshi ge keje mune de ta nga na lola shigu sulu chire.
So when we talk about the true collections, the merit, the collection of the merit, the collection of the wisdom, and they attribute to into the consequential accomplishment. So for the merit, it's really leading to the creation of a Rupakaya, the physical form of the enlightened beings. So in the Sutra, there is a kind of vague description about what is the connection between generating a merit and its a subsequent result in producing of the Rupakaya. It's just saying, just like handprint or the handprint that the merits will leave, just like the handprint in the mat, leave some kind of causes which will gradually yield to the production of the enlightened physical form. And also this is mentioned in the Abhidhamma Kosha as well. Saying once you generate all the merits and are contributing this to the factors and conditions for generating enlightened bodies, including the major and the minor marks and the elements of the enlightened bodies, saying each of actions partly to do with merits making actions, producing the subsequent result, like if you if you welcome gurus or if you see away gurus, this results certain part of the mark. If you practice generosity, this leaves imprint for the enlightened marks of a certain element and so on. But the description is not really direct. But then in the Vajrayana, in the Tantra, where they're describing about the Rupakaya, the physical form, and it's really making a direct connection, saying when you practice upon receiving initiation, when you practice Vajrayana, when you really visualize yourself as an enlightened being, enlightened body, visualizing the enlightened activities. And this like visualizing and practicing oneself as enlightened being, engaging in the production of the form of the enlightened beings, have a direct result in future, producing your enlightened bodies. So in Vajrayana, they try to make a direct connections between your current practice, Vajrayana practices, especially generation stage, and then subsequent the future, the kayas, the Rupakayas.
So I find the way of approaching from the in the Lamrim, the stages of path, that from one individual person practicing from the lower scope, then in the middle scope, and then higher scope, and then he feel this the form body to become a Buddha, the form body, how somehow that it for him becomes like in the sutra, it's kind of something is lacking. And then automatically, if you look into the stages of Tantra by Lama Tsongkhapa, then the connection between to fill this gap from this the gap which is in the sutra to build this form body, then how Lama Tsongkhapa will add on to have the form body from the Tantra. It works so perfectly. So true practitioners, unless they don't feel the what is the word? There's a very beautiful word. Quenched sakarsati. The thirst. Quenched. Quench. Is that the quench? It's a kind of a thirst, isn't it? It's satisfying. All right. The quench the thirst. Right. So that's what I'm saying. We never had this kind of thirst. And then how we will have the karsa quench. And then how would you appreciate the dharma? So it is really necessary. I should say what makes study gives you in your practices. The study should give you more kind of a thirst. And then ultimately when you practice, then it's the quench. Then I think we don't need to worry much about I think whether we are going on the right path or wrong path. Until you don't get this thirst, and then you won't appreciate the Dharma at all. Like Buddha himself said, the practitioner should be like a patient and have to accept the Buddha as a doctor, and has to have, you want to go to the hospital not to meet the doctor. You are going there to get out from the suffering, or you wanted to have the medicine. So medicine helps you to reduce the pain, and then also kind of liberate you from this suffering. So that's how it is. People does not have any feeling that I am a patient. Then you try to learn a medicine, then you just become like a maybe businessman who sells good medicine, because we don't feel the medicine is really needed for me. So if the studying Dharma does not give you this kind of trust, and the practice doesn't give you any kind of a quench, then there's something wrong with your way of investigation, or there's something wrong with the Dharma. So we really need to check this out. Now, if I start talking like this, I won't finish the points. So, but it's not important to finish, but somehow let's cover it so it will be much better. Now I think the ninth is quite important. The ninth point is quite important.
So the ninth is it is inappropriate to be patient with the affliction. The verse 4.29, chapter 4 and the verse 29. While they dwell within my mind, at their pleasure, they cause me harm, yet I patiently endure them without any anger. This is an inappropriate state, and the patience is a contemptible state. It's a contemptible state. So that's the main point in this chapter.
So these are the all motivation to bring shamatha. If you don't feel that the nyomon, the negative emotions, what are the other translations? Affliction, negative affliction somehow is taking the peace, the inner peace from you, then one person who's trying to look for shamatha is kind of a fake. You are fooling yourself. But once you think like first the terminology that we use in a Tibetan, nyönmong, is so powerful, because nyönmong has the meaning, once having this, somehow you are the nyönmong barchebata, the same the zobosoba.
In Tibetan word for nyönmong, once you possess that affliction, the connotation here is polluting your
polluting.
mind.
So having this negative emotion or the affliction, you have to not just believe, but you have to bring your own experience that is really just how it is becoming polluted, how it pollutes you, how it is so contaminated. So it's more like it's once the water is contaminated, you think it's contaminated and you drink it, and then you just go like, I had the problem. Recently I had a problem. So this problem start with this contaminated water. Mostly what we don't have the awareness is, we don't know what we feel like the water is so pure. And then somehow you got like a upset stomach. And then you feel like, I don't know what really happened. This is more situation like what if we are not aware of. But once you feel like now we are aware of all this negative affliction is something, whenever you have it, even it brings a peace or kind of pleasure, not a peace actually, the pleasure for this moment, then we need to be look into this situation saying, definitely this will cause me a problem because this is a contaminated mind. It is polluting my mind. So then having this thought, then you will feel like how to stay out of this kind of a problem. It's not other than having the different strength of mind, which is not other than single point of meditation. That single point of meditation not only just stays your mind quite pure, but also whatever you wanted to build something, generate something, it is much more effective. I didn't ask shamatha when I started practicing Dharma like this. I watched with my teacher, when should I generate this mind? Not when my teacher tried to say something and then he says, shamatha is very important. I didn't just go like, can I get tips on shamatha? I didn't go like that. I wait for the signal. He says, this and this is the mind that is so diluted. Now, this is the only hope. This is the something right moment to get a shamatha. Like if you look at the Lama Tsongkhapa's way of how the stages of the path, he didn't mention anything much about shamatha in the lower scope. And he didn't mention much in the middle scope. But then in the highest scope, he mentioned almost like almost 30 pages is on the how to generate shamatha. And this is I think one of the largest information on shamatha that one scholar has written on. So very necessary. 디 단계 가서 코니테이션 해야 되네. 트레도다. 유몽. Like this in here, 재산 같은다. 디 니슈츠르구디 나라바 다기 셈는 내신도 그거 달라네 제 테메르는 다네 세디 세조당 고 this the verse 29 or 44, it will not easy for us to come up with this kind of a strong kind of a
we don't get that kind of a feeling for this. a determination, right?
Because it's very simple, because we don't feel that negative emotion, that how it comes to you, how it takes away your peace of mind, that you don't have like a fully determination. Determination is a so practice without a determination is something, it is always like you feel like, should I do it or not? That it becomes like, as I said before, optional. But then once you first, then when you feel like there's no much option A and B now, there's only one option, that's it, I'm going for this, then automatically it becomes so powerful. Like here Shantideva says, no option B. Just when if you look at the verse 44, verse 44,
I would rather be burned and killed and even have my head cut off than to ever bow down to the enemy that is the affliction in any way.
I think it's so powerful. Sometimes when do we say this? We do say this sort of thing. If you really hurt your ego, and then you just go like so much hatred to others, and then saying, even you kill me, I will never move from my position. This is time when we are under the sway of the negative emotion. But here the great Shantideva is saying he will never bow down to his negative emotions or the affliction. So this differentiate the difference between the great Shantideva and us.
Just reminded me of a story. I'm not going to name the monastery and the monks. There was this monk who was a really very determined practitioner. And so in the monastery, every evening they recite Tungsha, the purification, and all the regret, and then they determine they're not going to do it again. And when he was a Gyegwe in the monastery, the discipline, in the evening, no one will show up for the confession because he is incredibly zealous, right? Someone who's a fanatic. So one time they said, maybe we should think about giving a meat. Then he said, those who are thinking about giving a meat come to temple tonight. They did, like 10 of them show up. And then he brought some water and some vajra and put on the head and put waters. And from now on, we're going to give a meat. If we ever think of meat, if we ever retouch meat like the Chunju, the Bodhisattva said, let there be my head chopped off and my body be chopped into 1,000 times. He's referring to this step. So people are so horrified, but they were, they have to give up. And when the home people are so uneasy, saying, why did we make this commitment? And so this reminded me, and I thought,
this also, if you look at 1,000-armed Chandrasek, this is the what story we tell.
Oh.
We say we make a commitment that we will never let go the sentient beings. It's like a breath I take. So I'm here, my breathing will be always there for me. But effortlessly, it's going up and down. So like this, my love or the work for the sentient being should be something like my breathing, which I cannot live without this. So then a Bodhisattva who had made a huge commitment that he will never let go of this sentient being. But then, when he was on the path, then he made this huge commitment, and then he broke the commitment, saying like, now I cannot do it anymore. And then he gave up on the sentient beings. And then but it said that Bodhisattva, somehow he had, maybe not that like it, in the actual form body, but it's more like his imagination, that it become like him becoming torn into pieces, because before he was complete with the picture of me and sentient being. That's it. But then the commitment was broken, and then he has this kind of he felt kind of lost. And we say, time to time, we say, I was torn apart. My heart is broken into 1,000 pieces. This is how we say on our love letter. We do that, right? So this is similar thing. So the Bodhisattva kind of broke, kind of like into 1,000 pieces. And then he has this vision of Buddhas saying, don't give up on the sentient beings. Time to time, meditate on me. I will bless you. So once the Bodhisattvas and the Buddhas feel that blessing, then he felt connected to once again together. So that's why everything torn into pieces, that didn't become wasted. It fixed together, and this is the imagination of the 1,000-armed namesake. Once broke, then you can fix it again. Once broke, you can fix it again. 세상 아주 제레식 차동 전동 그 유진의 시도와 이 거하는 최송아.
pneumonia 그랬다니 pneumonia.
네, 지랑기. 네, 지랑기.
Oh
yeah, it comes from his story. So, now, where is this kind of determination? That's what we should ask for. I don't feel there's nothing Buddhist in here, but this is more like if you feel like you wanted this, and it's your responsibility to answer for this now. You have to look for this answer. Like the Adisha, even his knowledge about bodhicitta is like incomparable, comparable. But then when he heard about the great qualities of the Lama Silingpa in Indonesia, then he has this thirst, and he felt a quench. Unless I don't go to Indonesia, 100% I'm not going to achieve my bodhicitta. And with the guidance of the Tara, he got the full guidance, and he went to Indonesia. And there is another big kind of a story saying that because the school that Adisha's the point of view is on the Prasankika view, and the Lama Silingpa is on the Chitta Mantra school. So the Chitta Mantra school is recognized that we are the middle way approach, and this the karsore nihilism sana konjutirba karsore chetawa nihilism person is here to get a bodhicitta lineage from me. No way. So I don't know if Lama Silingpa put a kind of boundary there or not, but of course then attendants and his students were very strict. And Adisha lost a friend on the way, and also because it's not like he booked a aeroplane ticket or like a boat or like a fancy one. It's more like if some merchant going for to do a business, and then he said, you stay here, maybe after a few months later I come back, and then we will go travel back together. So then his friend, after a month, he couldn't come back because he was drowned. The boat was missing, and then there's nobody coming to pick him up. And that becomes like he has to, he's kind of a in Indonesia, he kind of become a refugee. And that time he kind of showed like how much interest in the Bodhicitta. Then slowly, he came close to the great Lama Silingpa. Then later he traveled back to India. And from that day on, he says, today I have this kind of a kind heart I just had developed today is due to the kindness of the Lama Silingpa. And he says, oh, today I developed this kind of motivation due to the kind of the Lama Silingpa. So that goes back to the quench, the looking for this kind of the antidote. They really feel it. Like if it is like case of like us, then if we feel like I'm a Prasankika, like one of the highest school, and then there is a one like a Chittamatra school believer, not like a Prasankika, we will always look down on that person. For sure, isn't it? If we don't, we will not look for the quality, what is the deep quality in there. So this is how the story of the great master Adisha is like this. So similarly, what we have to look into here is like each and every time, whoever brings a strength into my practice, I will protect it, and then have a respect to that. So then there is a Nagarjuna's one text, the scripture. What is the name was that? I couldn't remember, but it is. It's so beautiful because I taught that in the Israel. In there, he says, at the time when we take a refuge to the Buddha Dharma Sangha, at the same time, I also take a refuge in the sentient beings. That's never I heard of it.
In the Nagarjuna's text.
Rere, umuludugi, danda dichitu karsa. Tanya chabi the change ruchis. Oh, dream tale. Milamgitam. Milamgitam. Dream tale. Oh, good. You follow that? Ah, okay. It's so beautiful. So beautiful. Like almost like 10 years ago, I watched a clip of my predecessor giving a teaching to connect with him, like what he's saying. Does that agree with me or not? Are we the same person? And then when he spoke about a bodhicitta, and then he talked about on the level of the kindness, all the Buddhas and Bodhisattva one way, and all the sentient being here is equal. That's what he said. And that I've almost felt like, wow. Normally we say the kindness of the guru and teacher is so high, but we never spoke like this. But I don't know where he got all this kind of a resource, but I like the style how he said that. And then I feel like I'm proud to be like you. I'm proud to be on your cushion now. So it's so powerful, this one. To protect our mind from the negative emotion doesn't mean not harming others only. It's to protect mind which really gives you the strength. Then you need to recognize it. You need to appreciate it. You need to hold into it with appreciation. Can I be very honest and share experience? It is not a, I don't know if it is sound good or not, but I had almost 6-7 days. I had a difficult time with this diarrhea, and then this is my first time having this kind of problem in my life. And then on the third day, I think I felt like, wow, normally I can eat whatever I want, whether it's hot, whether it's chili or whatever. That time I just eat it like without any appreciation to my stomach. I just eat just like I put things on my back. No appreciation. Now the nature is calling. And then I need to rush many times into the bathroom. I just feel like now it is showing like I can be this like too. So don't you appreciate me? Similarly, so there are so many things to protect our mind. Sometimes we say we want a comfortable life. And then we don't want an enemy. We don't want anyone to harm us. And then somehow if you don't have an enemy, if you don't have anybody who's bothering you, it makes sometimes you weak. That makes you very kind of, let's say, spoiled in a way. Like in America, in Europe, facilities are so good. Then right after you go to India, airport, no problem. Then right after coming out of the airport and the honks here, it's the teaser. Everybody honks. And then the traffics and everything is different. Some people can handle it. Like me, I come from India. I can handle it. I stay here for almost say for 2-3 months. Then I go back. Immediately, I feel like, oh, so annoying. Oh, there it is. There it is. So it will be so wrong to think I wanted to fix the problem in India like this. But the greatest gift is like appreciating this way of life with how respecting each other or so on. I know there's other things that we don't kind of like, it's a wrong way, but there are so many things to appreciate. And once you are in India, but plus what good in India is also you can adjust into this once your mindset is ready. I tell you one story because It is kind of recent because next door, my neighbor in Dharamsala, my main residence, is sharing next door neighbor, one of the busiest hotel, and it's sometimes get packed, and then they will have like in one room they will have maybe like 6-7 people in there, and then young, energetic, like a late night party, like especially Punjabis, that they like to sing loud and dance. It's my next door neighbor, and they can go super loud. It's not like you can close your door like this, you can hear still. And then one time, what really happened is I couldn't sleep. And then I tried to put a pillow on my head, but it's not working. And then what did I do is a little bit like anger and like stressed out. And then I put like, well, they're playing a loud music. I can play a loud music. I put the loudspeaker on, the face towards them. Somehow I fall asleep. Okay. So next day, before sleeping, this guy's starting partying again. And I thought like, should I put on the speaker again or not? And I felt like, that would be so stupid. It is not the noise they are making. Because if it is noise, then I couldn't sleep last night. Because it's their noise. It's not because of noise, because my speaker was much louder than theirs, where I'm staying. With this music, I can fall asleep. Why cannot I fall asleep in the way they're playing the music? Why not? Then I didn't play the music. And then I started enjoying their music. Then the trick happened. I fell asleep so nicely. So difficult thing is automatically this, when you feel like something, you feel like very unhappy already somewhere here, and a little bit of hatred, little bit of like so much clinging towards yours, I kind of recognize that is very unhealthy. So that you can, I practice that in India. So I have this small realization. So that I wanted to share with you. So we need to appreciate more, and we should know how to appreciate. And then also there's so many things, even it's very, very small, but there are so many things we can learn from it. Like this, nothing to do with the Dharma practice, but is using the psychology or how the mind really works. So here also it is saying, you cannot
Be patient.
Be patient with your negative reflection.
Yes.
So for this kind of practice, I recognize my own negative reflection, how it plays a game on trick on me. And I recognize it is not we can say, yeah, it is the condition, cause and condition. The cause is, you make these differences in English, like cause and condition. The cause is something that it's within you, and the condition is like from outside, time to time. So that is just a contribution to additional problem. Not the real problems, yeah. So that I figured out, and I feel like, wow, that's so powerful, that how mindset can be. And then also we do this in the West, we talk about placebo, like how this, like a drug, which is not a real drug, how really it tricks people. That's so powerful, isn't it? So same, it is necessary the best to protect your mind is to see the faults of your own way of the mind, which is becoming so narrow-minded, and then seeing, I don't need to become like this. I don't need to be patient with this kind of mind which I have. So it's more like I can be more free without this kind of a stress, this kind of way of thinking. That, I think, it means no more patience with the negative reflection. Yes. Yeah. There's.
Thank you. I've talked to people about this and I've experienced this myself, especially like Westerners who, really admire, the Buddhist practice and they try. And then years later, they're like, oh, I was suppressing, my anger. And so do you have, thoughts about that?
While dealing with the negative emotions, as we talk about middle way approach, also we need to be stay in the middle, and then it is necessary to look into how the negative emotion is really the deceive
Yes, deceiving us. How
how
the
the-
negative emotions are deceiving us.
and then automatically you feel like I don't need to continue like this, so I can go on path, not continue on this kind of path, which I felt like up to now I need to do like this, I need to think like this. So then you have a kind of clear picture that there is the way that how Shantideva and Buddha has taught. So now I use this kind of approach. So similarly, the story which I shared my experience, it's kind of like this. Maybe my teacher will say it like 1,000 times, but I put this in a practice and I feel like, wow, this is great. This is maybe this what my teacher whole time he's telling me to do. I realize this. So that time I feel I just wanted to just look at the people who's playing the music. No hatred. I just wondering like, wow, these guys are really enjoying. No kind of hatred is there. So similarly, we need to have this kind of a power, so that without negative emotions, we can have a much better life. Socializing, way of talking, skills, so it's not like if I don't do this, then how I will have a better life. It's more like with this life, this way of thinking, my life is done. Without this, I will have a better life. So then you will feel like it's not like pressuring. It's more like you are on a better path. So I think the hard part will be when we receive a teaching, and then if you don't try to put this into practice, watch your mind, then it's really hard to believe in what teacher is saying and how your friends are doing. But then once you try to look into your own practice, how it is really, really affecting on you. And then you feel like, I think this is how it is really working. So then, is it coming off? I hope not. So it's very necessary like that. So it's more like when we talk about the renunciation, it's more like how to take care of yourself. Sometimes when we talk about the renunciation, people think like how to get out of this crazy world. It's not much, nothing much to connecting to the world. It's more like, I don't want to continue like this life. I don't want to do this sort of thing. It's not like that. We should continue life like others, of course. But then the problem is not out there. The problem is within us to see how the grasping towards this life can be so challenging for us. This is how we need to learn it. Yeah. Somehow does that answers your?
So I think so. I mean, I'm just trying to think of the conversations that I had with very serious longtime practitioners, and they were doing that, and still they realized that after a while, ooh, like they were sort of it's almost like they had an ideal of the Buddha without going through the necessary natural steps of really understanding and realizing emptiness to let the anger dissolve. And instead they were trying too hard, and they were using all those reasonings, and they were saying, this is better for me. And then looking back, they're like, it wasn't healthy for my mind after all. So it's like, and I haven't seen it so much with Tibetans or Easterners. I've seen it with Westerners a lot. And so that's the question.
단 낭배추 냠니치니에도 저 콘도 로망고 냠니제 동분이 삼단 가르치는 돈도 거디 콘도 림제 되기도. 인도 다 선비 기분도 그걸 림도 잠만 아수고래 야고요 뭐니 셈래 야고요 말했어. 다디 가는 주쇼요 그랬어. 저 낭배 지기 뉴모 방야 디나야 근데 지기 뉴모 말 냄베트도 요 말봐. 다이 콘도 제마심 이제 램답 차.
레레레레. Yeah. So 재상 아주 묘모 방향에 탑시했들이야. 아니 다단다 지게 로션바도 망고지기 아니 묘모 방향에 탑시해서 개죠 말데 아니 하과도 되지 콘로 손잡았다. 뭐지버 용백갑라야. 아니 기부당세지. 기부당 그랬다. 인조에 쳐 그랬어. 아니 디삼로 기교와 말스 랍들라고요 봐. 되게 매버서도요 말보다. 그전 신앙 아주 간이 찍면에 찍 샤바직 대용의 인버리 가수 봐도 다 이그노르스 오르베 디체고요레스. 다 양간이 냄새도 좀 알간이 두스 다 간이 디 아니 간이 장냥 삼로 당대위 나양 대양 처음에 주치리스. 다조 간이 디 용세기 셈디 간이 딜레비깔 셈보 부수도고 차요에 다 간이 치슈리. 셈보 부수도고 차요에 딜이야. 저런 셈보디 부수도고 제고야 면도 디 삼로 땅초 찌기 저런 딜레 삼로 커버데 삼로 딘디지 땅베이나 저런 삼로 부수도고 만도 와스 라비나 니수 다가랑 찍버레데 이나양 따초 주어침을 통초 주어침베 이들 잠베 베나 미지기 대사 딜 두스기 오면 두슬라비나 and those kiran there woman do and dedan juatang che phige sone de those there na tig to waslabe na kanye sever to chiwar bas
So Rinpoche is saying that dealing with afflictions, and there, people do explore and try, make many attempts to try to really deal with your emotions, including anger. In one of the popular thing in the West, or maybe these days in the East, is when people feel so frustrated, when people feel so upset, they try to divert their attention. Maybe the youngsters, they go to have a party, say, let's have a great time, and try to forget about it. So the one thing they try to coping is try to forget it, like experience, incident. But the problem is it'll come back again, right?
Come back again in a different form.
And then another approach is people just like so overwhelmed by the issue. And, that's, like they're simply overwhelmed, right? That's also not, a solution, because it doesn't really deal with that. And so, and the Buddhist, advice is saying, you really try to not to really directly change the situation, but change your mindset. Rinpoche give one example saying, for example, if you're feeling uncomfortable in this position, well, change your position, maybe sit somewhere else, use different stools and so on. Likewise, when you are in this uncomfortable situation, rather than suppressing it, but really first try to change the mindset, see if this would work. So that's one of the advice the Buddhists give, saying it doesn't matter what, experiences with the frustration, to start with changing the mindset, the concept about that very issue, try to see it from different angle.
Because I think our time is finished, isn't it? It's 4:30. You guys in a kind of rush? Huh? I'm not finished yet. Okay. So think like this, because the power we can call the emptiness is so powerful for one reason, that gives you to special access to the mind, that we can see the situation from different angle, which in an ordinary mind, once you are so fixed to this situation, no way. But the emptiness is so powerful. Like when, for an example, in the one sutra, it's one of my favorite sutra, and also my teachers, every time he will say this. And then he in the sutra, it is more like the Buddha was having a kind of having a discussion with some one of their top disciples, and then among approaches, and then make a confession to Buddha, saying, and with the like confession, it's a good one, because he said, Buddha, confession to met, I went to the market, and in the market I saw lots of beautiful young girls, and then attachment come up, and then as a monk I cannot have attachment to the girl. Then I went immediately to some place isolated, and then meditate in permanence on that lady. And then Midupa, the Karsore, unpleasant things. So near the body, and then ultimately the attachment goes down, and then this is how I offer the kindness of you, and to make a confession through you. And then Buddha smiled, and then he left, and then he looked at his top disciples and said, do you think that person is really practicing on path? And then many people cannot answer that. And then Buddha said, no, I don't call this stupid person practicing on the path. He directly said that. And then the top scholars just said, like, why do you say this? And then Buddha, without any kind of a doubt, he just said, like, his way of practice sounds complicated because he can go directly see this illusion girl as an illusion. And then why need all these extra practices on? He does not realize that girl as an illusion, and he just make this solid this girl, and then he just put every other practices like impermanence and then the Shambhatikasa, unpleasant things. All this is unnecessary. If he sees this girl as an illusion, that's it. It answers everything. That's why I say he's not practicing the path. Very, very like solid teaching. So that's why my teacher is saying he's a super fan of this, particularly the sutra that Buddha has given teaching. So back to Jenifer's question, that will be more like we should really try to practice something to deal with the situation. Sometimes we need to see something very clear picture. We need to sometimes to go up on the kind of tree or in the mountain, and you look at the situation, and then you can see much bigger picture. Like this, if you can climb up enough on the top of the situation, that's not other than by knowing the emptiness, you look at the situation, and then there is a possibility without clinging, without attachment, without the aversion. Still, we can call a normal life the peaceful, very harmonious life we can continue. Mark?
I have a question about tomorrow, so I just thought.
Okay.
I have a question about, it's related to this about the cause being from the inside and the condition from outside. It seems that it's easier to not know how far inside to look. And that maybe the farthest you start out with when you're enthusiastic is you think inside is just where your emotions are. And then wouldn't that make it seem more difficult to find out how you're actually responding to what's happening on the outside and feeling like you're suppressing something then? Because your emotions are so powerful. If you're really angry, you just kind of try and press it down.
Yeah, I agree. But we mostly don't go on that. So we should try that. Because up to now, we've been pointing the fingers only to the outside problem. It is never like one or two times we might be tried, but not successfully. But it will be, we should be brave enough to think. The most brave approach to it is like, I cling to the situation, that's it. If you can prove this to yourself, then I think your heart, you will be like, yes, that's true actually. Like I give you one story at the time of Buddha. Like I love the teachings of the Angulimala. That the Angulimala, some of you heard. So then when Buddha taught the Angulimala is how he became the Arhat, then Buddha said, when Angulimala was bitten by the people whom he heard before, and then he was almost beaten to the death. And then he just came to the Buddha with a crawling towards him, and then Buddha asked him one question, one simple question. Do you feel the pain? That's what he asked. Do you feel the pain? And then this dying person, with a folded hand, he said, due to your kindness, I don't feel the pain. Then he passes away. So right after that, Buddha gave a teaching under the tree saying, I recognized that Angulimala is the Arhat, because he said something that everybody needs to know. He said, I don't feel this, the pain. So doesn't mean he does not have a pain. Physical pain is there. So up to there, maybe for some kilometers, he was been crawling by his own to see Buddha. But he does not have any grasping towards this kind of pain. And then that means that's incredible, because like sometimes our mind can be so strong. Like you have so many, like you have a problem, but there is one big problem comes up. You are clinging to this problem, but every other problem is just like so mild. There's nothing there. I don't have this kind of realization, but I have I like to have this the curiosity mind. So like one time when I heard this teaching from the teacher, then I was watching a movie. The movie is so good. I watched the movie almost for like continuously 2 hours, and then I felt like the movie is so good, and then I feel the pain. How I just put it my hand like this and that, I feel so pain, and everything start like egging everywhere, and I felt like I have this pain the whole time, but my concentration is there. I didn't grasp it towards my pain anymore. And I won't say the movie is so good, but I have to deal with this pain. Oh, this movie is not good. I won't say this. I will say I love the movie very much, but I won't complain. This is like, just forget about it. This is even not a part of the movie. That mindset is powerful. So yeah. Okay, now maybe we stop. Oh, there's one more.
Question from the chat, Rinpoche. Yes, the question, this is like, actually, and it is much easier for me to detect and avoid afflictions of the hatred type, but afflictions related to attachment are much harder to detect and avoid. Do you have any recommendations on dealing with attachment and desire?
How it is really necessary? Can we enjoy in America hamburger? Can we enjoy hamburger without an attachment? Can we do that? That's the same question. So what really happens if you you have a strong like craving, strong attachment, very strong attachment, and then that person goes to the restaurant, and then there is one person who does not have an attachment, but he might have like a kind of desire to eat this delicious one. The two different thing is, maybe that person who has like a very high expectation and full attachment, clinking, his burger, they give him, maybe it's a little bit burnt, and then he will go like so angry or so upset. But the person who is without attachment, he will be like more open-minded. Okay, I can try next time, no problem. Maybe this time, maybe Chevy is not in a good mood. Or maybe the karma wasn't there, no problem. I will come next time. That's it. But the person, maybe he goes and say like, how can they do this? Wow, that's so unpleasant. Then it's more like he will be the most unhappiest person. So these two things, when you eat the burger, same taste. Taste is same. It does not kind of changes the taste, most important. But before and after, how the mind gets so much ups and downs, the person who has the attachment. That's for sure. So we can also call unnecessary effort, unnecessary emotions that he has spent. So this is maybe you should keep in mind, and then time to time check. With the attachment, I feel like this. Without the attachment, I try to do this. This I think we can do the home experience. Try it in your home. Maybe try to do that. Okay, so thank you.